Hey everybody, I'm Phillip, and I'm here today to react to the new Hellraiser trailer. I'm going to be 100% perfectly honest. I'm a little like this about it. I'll explain why in a second. Before we get into that, one disclaimer, because comfy clothes again. I apologize for any stammering, stuttering, slurring, or mouth noise. I have a speech impediment that acts up from time to time, and a glandular issue that acts up all the time. I do my best to remove things in post, but sometimes it comes through, and I do apologize. So my trepidation. I'm a child of the 80s. I'm old. Hellraiser was and is a very important movie to me, which I know is corny to say, but I've been editing a lot lately, like a secret project I've been working on, and it's very big and it takes a long time to render and export. And while it's doing that, I've been watching In Search of Darkness, which is this great documentary about horror in the 80s. And it's just been nostalgia and just all the warm, fuzzy feelings of growing up as a kid then. There were some bad parts, it was the 80s, but one of the good things from the 80s was Hellraiser. One of the many good things as far as like horror movies, like for me, the 80s were the golden age of horror for me. And that's probably just because I grew up in it. I'm sure somebody in the 90s would say the same thing. And if you grew up in the 2000s, you say the same thing. But Hellraiser was very important to me. I put it right behind Children of the Corn. I saw Children of the Corn when I was a kid. I was 8 when I first saw it, and it just opened up horror to me. And I'm still a horror fan to this day because of that movie. But 3 years later, in 1987, Hellraiser came out, and that blew my mind. It just changed everything. Like, it was so different and unique, and Pinhead was like this cool new horror icon. It was cool to live in an era where horror icons were being made, and ones that survived to this day. Like, we're obviously having a new Hellraiser. So it was like the first two, fantastic, just good stuff. Introduced me to Clive Barker. As an author, I got immersed into his work. I was a kid, so I really didn't get it. Like, I went to the Hellbound Heart and the Books of Blood, and I tried to read the Damnation Game, and it was just over my head. I was little, I didn't understand it. A couple years later, I went back, and it clicked. And then I just, like a Magica and Everville, and just went down the Great and Secret Show, the Books of the Art. Holy crap. I wish those would become like a miniseries on like Netflix or something, but no, they probably like pull the plug after a season. But I digress. This movie is very important. This movie has a special place for me. So that is my that is my hesitancy with this. As some of you know, I do a pretty damn good job at avoiding spoilers. Unfortunately, this one has been all over the place. So I do know about Pinhead. I do know about that, because how could you avoid it? That's all I know. And I'm going to reserve judgment on that till I see it. But Pinhead is Pinhead. And I'm not saying Pinhead can't be a woman, but I want to see, like, is it just to do it? Or is this feel organic? And that's what's important to me. It doesn't matter if it is what gender this character is, or what race. I know there's a huge thing right now with a Little Mermaid being black. Stuff like that does not bother me. If it fits the story, if it fits the narrative, cool. Longest intro ever, right? I think I'm stalling. Full disclosure, I think I'm stalling. but okay, let's just let's rip the Band-Aid off of this and see what's going on. Fingers crossed. I think it's like a Hulu exclusive, so I'm like, okay. Open mind. Okay. This is like, there's a holy grail of horror in the 80s. This movie's one of them. So, I thought about making a video of my experiences of growing up in the 80s with horror, because I started off at a very young age with horror. So, maybe in the future, but I'll stop stalling. Let's just get into it. Okay, so without further ado, obviously, let's get into it. Please don't suck. Please don't suck. Please don't suck. Please don't suck. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, here we go.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Filament configuration.
It's really nice.
You can hold it.
Huh.
What is it?
It's a puzzle. And it's almost finished. Keep going.
So if I solve it, do I get a prize?
I do.
What's your deal? It has 6 sides, 6 configurations. It opens up, and it cuts you. And then they come to collect.
Chatterer.
It's time. Greater delights await. We wish to see you proceed. Feed it. Their blood, their pain. All for us. What is it you pray for?
Okay, so... Okay. Alright, so I'm looking at the credit stuff at the end. We got David S. Goyer, which is promising. He's done like Dark City, Batman Begins, Dark Knight. I believe he was involved in the Sandman series that we are currently reviewing on the channel. That's directed by David Bruckner, who is pretty well known in horror. He's done Southbound, The Ritual, which if you haven't seen that, go check that out. And he did The Night House, which we also reviewed on this channel, and that was really, really good. So it says produced by Clive Barker. So I'm hoping that isn't just a legacy. I'm hoping he's involved somehow, because like I know he's had some personal and medical stuff going on in his life, but he was a force, man, in the 80s and in the 90s. That dude was a force, a horror force. Even Stephen King called him the future of horror. And, you know, and as he's also a gay man. So it's very cool to see like someone like me make it and be respected and be held in such reverence in the horror community and as a horror author and whatnot. So the trailer itself, I usually don't watch trailers. As some of you know, again, spoilers, but I've already seen Hellraiser, so I kind of know what's going on. I've seen all those sequels, even the last one that really made me mad. So on one hand, there's not a lot to go on here. It visually looks cool. It almost looks a little too polished. Like that was something that was really cool about the original. It was so gritty looking. This looks almost too clean. But, you know, if we have David Goyer, we have, you know, David Bruckner, the Davids are attached. That gives me hope. I'm not sure who these other people are. I don't know the other people. Let me look up Luke. I'm not going to try to say your name, sir, because... Okay, so he did Super Dark Times in the Night House. Okay, Hellraiser, obviously. Oh, Siren. Was that the movie based off of the VHS story? That wasn't the best. The VHS story was cool, but the movie was not the best. Super Dark Times, which I still need to see. Night House. Okay. And then the other, Ben Collins. I'm not sure who that is, just by name. Also Super Dark Times and Night. Okay, so there's the writing teams that did these, like Siren and Super Dark Times and Night House. They're still working together. That's cool. That's cool. That gives me confidence beyond what little the trailer showed. I don't have a problem with Pinhead as was presented. I saw a lot of really creepy, thirsty stuff going on in social media because straight dudes are freaking weird. Sometimes, a lot of times, most times. But the Cenobites look freaking cool. We got the Chatterer. They look good. I'm hoping that lore is still there behind them. If you haven't seen it or anything, I don't want to spoil that, but there's one of the Cenobites that's like, whoa, when you find out its origin story. So yeah, I mean, I'm not blown away by the trailer, but I'm certainly not like, ugh, at it. I don't mind. I said the female Pinhead. That'd have been like an amazing part for her to get. Let's see, Jamie Clayton is Pinhead. Do I know her from anything? She was in Sense8? Oh my god. I have not watched Sense8 in a long ass time. I watched it when it came out. I watched the first season. Do I know you from anything else? No, you don't. You have not acted a whole lot in stuff that is. The Snowman. Was that really shitty movie with Michael Fassbender? Yeah, I'm sorry that you were in that. I'm sorry that he was in that. Oh, she was in the Neon Demon, this casting director. Okay. We'll see. But I mean, that'd be like a kick-ass role for her to get. Imagine that. Imagine that. So happy for her in that regard. And I'm sure she's getting a lot of blowback. Which one would? It's, yeah. I don't mind it. I don't hate it. Even if Clive is a legacy addition to the credits, that's fine. Obviously, it's his creation, so he's going to be. But I do hope that he had some input in some way. And he seems like the kind of guy that would genuinely not mind a female Pinhead, because he was all about pushing boundaries, like gender boundaries and sexual boundaries. And I mean, freaking Hellraiser, it's like pleasure and pain. And his other books, if you've read them, are very deep into that. It's just one of the things where like you could confidently say if you worship like a Ronald Reagan, you're not going to like a Clive Barker book. You're not. So I don't think he gives a shit whether you like his stuff or not. So yeah, intrigued and really, really, really hopeful with who is attached to it, with the Davids, and then the other, like the screenwriting team. We'll see. We'll see when it comes out what we think. That will probably have to be a solo reaction or review, or just a reaction only maybe to that. Just as Justin's never seen any of the Hellraisers, and I think I would like him to see the original first. We've done that before, where we watched the original first with him, and then we watched the remake after. But if you've seen the Hellraiser trailer, which I assume you have if you're watching this video, what did you think of it when it dropped? I think I'm a little late to the party, but I've been very immersed in the project I've been working on, in addition to the usual YouTube stuff. So, what do you think? And if you're old like me, if you grew up in the 80s, if you love Hellraiser like I do, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? And hopefully we can keep the conversation civil, and I'm not accused of hating Scotland or something, you know. Just saying. All right, that's gonna wrap this one up. So let me know down below what you think of this one. I would love to have a discussion on it, especially if you are a huge Clive Barker fan of the books, of his movies and whatnot, like I am. As always, I don't have a fancy outro, so I'll simply say thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, goodbye.